Listeners, we are in a position to bring you further news regarding the situation at the landing sites all over the planet. In this special bulletin from the TRIAC Chronicle, we will be hosting a number of live broadcasts direct from the edges of the defence perimeters of several of the locations as the forces of Earth move in to investigate. At 20 minutes before 8 Central NVC time, Professor Ogilvy of the Concordian Astronomical and Meteorological Society reported that the radiation and heat levels around the craters have dropped to a level that is considered safe for exposure and ingress. The spectroscopic analysis indicates that the unknown gas and radiation to be at acceptable levels and no longer a severe danger to life. Dr. Isambard Kingdom-Brunel of TRIAC also concurs and confirms with Dr. Ogilvy's observations and describes the phenomenon as, and I quote, "unlike anything we have witnessed or detected in the history of TRIAC." We now take you live to the scene at what has been designated Site FAU2, and our reporter live on the scene, Sophie Letterby, as the first scouting forces begin to move into the site. Hello Sophie, can you hear me? You are live on the Chronicle.
Thank you, Benedict. The mood here in the FAU is one of trepidation and caution. This site, being approximately only 80 miles from New Richmond, has certainly made the new president sit up and take notice. The forces that could be mustered in the wake of the recent Waterloo conflict are at the crash sites. This site has been cleared for troops to move in, and the 2nd Rangers are advancing with TRIAC elements towards the centre of the event. We have been given permission to travel with them as they reconnoitre. We are close to the crash site now. The heat is still uncomfortable, although bearable now. There is a strange smell in the air, sweet and cloying, like burnt sugar mixed with burning matches. The crater edge is huge. The impact seems to have thrown up vast amounts of debris, and I can see the object in the centre of the hole. It's strangely hypnotic to look at. The sides are multicoloured with a sheen that glistens in the sunlight. There seem to be vents and other regular structures on the outside that seem to be linear and some sort of random rock formations. There's some kind of gas or steam emanating from the vents, and there is a definite residual warmth coming from the structure.
Just 1 minute, Sophie. One of our staff has just handed me a message. 1 moment, please. Listeners, I must stress this is only preliminary information, but we are receiving broken reports from Site EC1, the crater site some 50 miles southwest of Berlin. It seems there has been some movement detected in the centre of the landing zone, and we are taking you live to the site now. And our reporter on scene, Felicia Chadsworth. Can you hear me? Felicia, what can you tell me about the situation there?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Felicia Chadsworth at the site of the Berlin crash. I hardly know where to begin. To paint for you a word picture of the strange scene before my eyes, I can only describe it as mesmerising and utterly terrifying. We are getting our first look at the centre of the crash site. I'm with a force of Prussian grenadiers and a TRIAC advance force. The huge meteorite must have struck with terrific force. The ground is covered with debris that fused to it when it struck. What I can see of the object itself doesn't look very much like any meteor I've ever seen before. It looks more, and I don't believe I'm saying this, but the structure seems to be pulsing, as if it's breathing, pulsing like a beating heart. The outside is multicoloured and covered in strange vents and what look to be almost valve-like protuberances. The object is huge. I can see the sides curving into the distance on both sides of the crater. I'm not sure what it is I'm seeing here, but I can tell you that it is definitely not Martian, and certainly not anything we have seen before. Wait, something is happening. The sides and the vents are moving faster. They seem to be opening. Some kind of gas is coming out of the vents. Oh my God! What is that thing? Benedict, we have to run. The soldiers have begun to open fire on whatever it is that just came out of the meteor. Oh God! There are more of them! Get back! Run, Benedict! Warn the other sides! There are...
Listeners, we are using the Chronicle to transmit the news to all areas of the world. We will stay on air for as long as possible and keep reporting until we lose our signal. We have more reports coming in from Miss Letterby in the FAU. Sophie, can you tell us what's happening at FAU 2?
This is the most terrifying thing I have ever witnessed. Wait a minute. Creatures are crawling out of the meteorite. I can see through the gas. There seem to be many different shapes. Some with multiple legs, what look like blades and claws attached to them. But it's the faces that are the truly horrifying thing. These hideous insectoid faces. It might be... Good heavens! There are more, wriggling out of the shadow like grey snakes. Another one and another. They look like giant insects to me. There, I can see one of them closer. The thing's body. It's large as a bear, and its body, it's armoured, shiny and segmented, like a mantis or beetle. But that face, listeners, it's indescribable. I can hardly force myself to keep looking at it. The eyes are black and gleam like a serpent. The mouth is V-shaped, with saliva dripping from its mandibles that seem to quiver and pulsate. The monster, or whatever it is supported by 4 sinuous legs. The thing's raising up. The soldiers are stepping forward now. They've seen plenty. This is the most extraordinary experience, ladies and gentlemen. I can't find words. I'll pull this microphone with me as I talk. I'll have to stop the description until I can take a new position. Hold on with me, please.
Listeners, due to circumstances beyond our control, we are unable to continue the broadcast from FAU2. Evidently, there's some difficulty with our field transmission. However, we will return to that point at the earliest opportunity. We are going back to the European site, where we have managed to re-establish the signal to Felicia. Felicia, what is happening? Can you tell us what is going on there?
Am I on? Are we still broadcasting? Listeners, if anyone can hear this, we are still on air. Please get word to all of the crash sites. The objects are not simply meteors or spatial anomalies. They are landing craft. We are facing an invasion once again. The creatures that have emerged are not like the Martians we haven't grown to hate over the last decades. They are cold, monstrous. They did not hesitate when they appeared and fell upon the military troops, cutting and tearing. They resemble a bizarre amalgamation of horror, insectoid features and humanoid forms fused together alongside huge, towering behemoths that march through our defences, matching the Jaegers and punching holes in the lines. The armies were not ready for this threat. They were set to expect a force akin to the Martians, one that moved with tactical purpose and ordered attack. These creatures are a swarm, a horde. They flowed over the lines and sent everything into disarray. Myself and my ethograph operator are hiding in a shell crater, but we do not know how long we will be able to stay unobserved. Benedict, keep the broadcast going. Keep reporting as long as possible. Allied Command must know what is happening at the crash sites. We are not prepared...
Felicia? Felicia, are you still there? Can you hear me? Try to get them back. Whatever it takes. No, they'll do it. What? When? Very well. No, get ready to patch him in. Do it now. Listeners, while we attempt to regain our signal to the impact sites, we are being told there is a broadcast from the Earth Alliance Command, from Commander-in-Chief General Fitz Lansing. I will patch the broadcast through now on an open channel. People of Earth, this is General Fitz Lansing speaking to you from Allied Earth Command at Sanctuary Base, Europe. The world is once again at war. We have been invaded by a new threat from the stars, one that seems to have a very different agenda than the Martians. This threat has been named as the Mantid Swarm, and from intelligence gained by TRIAC through the use of an acquired piece of advanced technology, we have reason to believe that it desires nothing less than the complete destruction of our world. The species is a parasitic life form that takes the unique signatures of a civilization that it consumes and adds this to its combined consciousness and physical makeup. We have been made aware by studying the records from the crashed Erusian ship in Candy that the race passed through this solar system once before, many thousands of years ago, when the human race was in its infancy, consumed and destroyed a planet that now makes up the asteroid belt beyond Mars. We also know that this race of spaceborne alien harvesters seem to be the same that fought a war with the Efreet people and caused them to burn their world in an effort to eradicate the threat. They are a race seemingly controlled and ruled by a queen, or mother as she has been called, and the Strigoi are also part of this race, left here, buried, waiting now they infiltrate and sabotage, attempting to undermine our infrastructure and our ability to wage war. With this in mind, it is certain we are facing an unknown and dangerous foe, and we must adapt to this new danger or perish. To that end, as we speak, we are organising as much ordnance as possible to be flown to each crash site, and we will commence a full and total aerial assault in an attempt to destroy or at least weaken the threat that is arrayed against us. People of Earth, we thought that the war for our planet was over. We were wrong. It is time for every being who calls this planet their home to take up arms and defend it. At this point, there is no such thing as a non-combatant. We all fight. Young, old, trained or untrained. There is no longer armies made up of soldiers fighting for civilians. There are simply warriors. People who will call this land their home, who are battling to keep it from falling into the hands of an alien race who seek to end our existence. There are no longer armies. There is one army, one force, an allied Earth force made up of every member of the people who live on this planet. It is every being's responsibility to look at this new menace and scream their defiance into the void. We will call on the Efreet for their expertise, and other allies where we find them. It is a battle for survival, and a battle for the planet that we cannot afford to lose. Thank you. Listeners, it seems we are at the start of another turning point in our world's history. We have seemingly defeated one enemy to be presented with another. This strange alien force is not one of Martian origin, and from where they have arrived, we do not know. It is obvious that these so-called mantids wish to do us harm, but we are no strangers to that. One moment, please. We are receiving a signal from the European crash site. Can you hear me? What is the situation there? Felicia? What is the situation?
Benedict, we are overrun. We heard the General's broadcast, and there is little hope that we will be able to clear the area. My ethograph operator is dead, and I am wounded. we will not be able to get out in time. I can hear the bombers coming in. This is it. It has been my singular honour and my privilege to work with the Chronicle. And this seems to be my final broadcast. Sarah, I love you. Keep fighting and never forget me. Goodbye, and keep listening wherever.
Listeners, we will never stop broadcasting, and we will keep you informed on the ongoing state of the war. But for now, due to security and respect for the dead, we are going to bring this broadcast to an end. This is Benedict Forsyth saying goodbye, and keep listening, wherever you are.